You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. Now, this young lady has the industry talking right now. Some are upset.
She always
Some are
does.
happy.
She always does around this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
I like
Vanessa
your
here.
hat.
Oh, thank you. From XXL Magazine. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Every year
for
we
having
do this
me.
with Vanessa.
Yes, it's kind of like fam now. We know that we're going to do the rundown with you guys, and we appreciate the
That is true.
support.
My man Academics texted me yesterday and he said, have they come to you? Has Vanessa come to you yet? Like tomorrow.
Right.
Right here.
You know how we do. Now, we had a whole discussion about it because we talked about it in the rumors about who made the freshman cover. And, of course, people feel like, okay, this person should have made it. This person should have made it. I also said I feel like certain people that we thought would be on there may have turned it down because historically there's always been
Nobody
a couple
turned
of
it down.
people. So, no Cardi B?
I love Vanessa.
No Cardi B?
No,
Why
she
no
didn't turn
Cardi
it down.
B?
Why?
We felt we were on the fence and felt, was it more TV or was she going to go more the hip hop direction with the music? Where would the career kind of more be? And it felt like it was very much TV heavy. And she was definitely on our radar. Just didn't come into the final 10 for us.
Really? With the
You saw
mixtapes
she
and
rocked
on the
Summer Jam
chart?
Sunday, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was after, though. But, geez, now what about Young M.A.?
Young and May said that she was beyond it. She felt like she should be on a solo cover by now.
See, what did I say?
No.
So we
I
said,
said
okay,
that this morning.
we'll just keep it moving.
That's not true, though. She's not beyond
Oh,
it.
I don't believe so. But once you show that you're not really so into it and your aspirations are somewhere else and you think you're beyond it, then we say, okay, we'll
Or
move
Young
on
M.A.
so
would have
much.
been on she would have been on the cover.
I don't know so much. I mean, that sometimes the timing just doesn't fit right, she seemed to have had a big run a couple months ago or so. So for us, it just seemed like it didn't seem like the best fit for right now, including that, she seemed not as interested as well.
I was having that debate yesterday because we didn't know why Young M.A. wasn't on it. We were talking about Ugly God, and I was like, well, Ugly God I think with the artists from the South, they tend to be bigger stars over time.
Yeah.
And the artists from New York have a single that's hot.
I think sometimes
then
it's
they kinda
hard for us
fizzle out.
because we're in New York, and so we sometimes, they become stars very quick. They can come to the local shows, stop at our offices. The record labels are based from out here for the most part, L.A. also. So I think we sometimes are big fish, small ponds, kind of syndrome here. And then when you get kind of on the outside, you have to see what everybody else is saying once you get out of New York,
Right. What about YFN Lucci?
YFN Lucci didn't want to play any music for us. He refused every which way. And then the day before the shoot, or a couple of days before the shoot, they called us and said he wanted to play music. And at that point, it was too late for us. We had tried every which way. They weren't playing music for us. He called us a few days before and said he'd come up, or I could be getting this wrong. I believe he said he wasn't going to play music unless he was guaranteed on and wouldn't talk to us. If you're not going to play music and work with us and try to communicate with us and be a part of the whole thing and share what you've got going on with us and show any interest with it, then we're going to keep it moving after that, because for also it's kind of a business reflection to us of how you deal with people.
Right,
You
'cause
didn't
you
want to
had
have anything to do with us and play
Right.
us music, and you called us a few days after. I don't know if that's the best business move politically, but at the same time, I never spoke to him directly about it, so I don't know if there's something
he's
lost in
aware.
the fray with his people.
Now, what
Yeah.
about Day Day?
Day seemed like there could be a little bit more time to grow. It seemed like there was a buzz that was a little bit heavier a few months ago. There's still songs, but there was some time.
T Grizzly.
T Grizzly felt early too. Yeah, I mean, the song grew more in the past few months since we did the shoot, but it felt like, we're always on that fence of who makes sense for this year, who makes sense for next year. Is it better to have them when they're really big? They're getting bigger and they're going to be the biggest on the cover. But for us, during the argument time, T Grizzly felt like it was a little early still.
Yeah, that's interesting because you guys really do plan this out months before we actually see the issues.
Yeah.
And a lot can happen in
I mean,
those-
you could have a song blow up in a day,
Right.
in a couple days. So it is hard with the way the internet works to be competitive. There's a production level. We shoot and do everything in April. It's June right now. We start picking in January. So you try to be as timely as possible. But somebody can make a false move today that could destroy their career tomorrow.
Right.
And what if they were a freshman? And we didn't see that coming. So the time is always an issue. And it's a 10th anniversary. If you go back 10 years ago when we started, you never really had the same change in people's careers so quick like you do today.
10-year anniversary. Back in 2007, you had Saigon, Plies, Rich Boy, Lupe Fiasco, Lil Boosie, Gorilla Zoe, Zoel Ortiz, Crooked Eye, Papoose, and Young Dro. That's not a bad class.
No, I mean, it wasn't even a class. It was just an effort at trying something new.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was that same old faces over and over again. Big dogs, but always the same people on the cover. So for us back then, it was like, well, let's try something new.
Mm-hmm.
And then we weren't sure if we were going to do it again. And by the time, I think it was 13 months later, we realized, yeah, let's do it again. And by that time, we did the second one, which kind of stackable covers. There was 3, 3, and 4, so 3 covers in a row. And that did better. And then by the third one, we knew we had kind of had something that we could pay attention to.
This is the first XXL freshman cover that makes me feel old. Last one made me feel kind of old. This one made me feel really old.
That's the text messages I get all day yesterday. Was from every writer, publicist. How old am I? Boy, I feel old. You know, that's what becomes from all kind of the older generation.
I be like, I try to gauge, like, who are these people? And I read their names. Yeah, I know him. I know him. Nope, never heard of that one. Nope, never heard of that
That's
one.
part of freshmen, though. I mean, you want to learn, you want to look them up.
Absolutely.
You know,
You know some of them more than you know others.
Right.
in the industry, the expectation is that you should know everybody or be familiar with the names. If you're just a hip hop fan, there's no expectations for you to know everybody. And we always hear that, like, I only know 3 of them. The rest are trash. Well, you've only heard of 3
Then
of
how
them.
can you call them
And you
trash?
don't know the other 7. But that becomes very much the mentality is that if who you want didn't get on, screw everybody else.
I'm glad Kamaya made it onto the list because I like her as an artist.
I think Kamaya's dope. I mean, she's talented. It's the Bay Area. She raps her ass off on the freestyles and the ciphers. She's got a good energy about her. She's represented with YG and everything she's got going on over there. She's got a support system. You know, she's got Interscope behind her, you know, and she's cool to work with. And I think all of those things are important for a new artist.
Wow, cool to work with. That's important because you've had some issues, as we've discussed in the past, dealing with artists that are just, their team is difficult. They're not cool to work with.
You guys, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yes, we
You're
all
like,
have.
you guys know.
You all have, yes. You know the difficulties of this stuff.
Who was the biggest artist on the cover this year that you think?
I mean, I think everybody loves Playboy Cardi. You know, Amine has a big song with Caroline. I think that the buzz on XXX Tentacion is pretty big.
What made you put him on the list?
He's the 10th spot winner. So he won. Interesting enough, we had over 1.7 million votes for the 10th spot. He got well over 300,000 of them. So he really won by a landslide as far as the number 1 pick. And for us, you know, if we're going to do that 10th spot thing, then we really want the person that's voted in to get the spot. So there you go.
Who was right behind him in that?
You know, I don't really remember. I'm not even lying. I really don't even remember. I only look at the number 1 spot for the most part because I know that's who we're putting in. And it shifts around and stuff. So I really, really can't remember who the final was whatsoever. I'm not even lying.
All my young boys tell me that those guys tour a lot, though. Like Extension.
I mean, he was in jail for a while, so I don't know how much he could have toured then. You know, he got out, he got knocked down. He hasn't been touring for a minute because, you know, of that incident. So he definitely tours. I think the biggest thing was the Rolling Loud Festival gave him a really big look. And, yeah, he's definitely a performer. I mean, the kid is extremely personable. That's the one that is, I think that's the one when they walked in the studio, people were most interested in because they hadn't met him. I think that was that, you know, you're always waiting for that person to walk in that the rappers are looking at because they're kind of interested. They're waiting to see who's coming and then who are they interested in meeting.
What are the legal issues that he's having?
I'm not going to get it right. I know he's got some legal issues with some current cases, but as far as getting exactly what his charges are, I don't want to get it wrong.
Did he talk about why his record is distorted like that?
I don't remember.
Because his record is so distorted, and I'm just
he's
curious.
a little distorted character. I mean, he's an interesting character.
It goes with his
and I mean
character.
that with you know, with positivity. He is quite a
start
character,
using that
you know.
one.
He's
a
the
little
first one.
distorted.
He's a little distorted. I think he'd agree. You know, he's a little distorted. But you know, it's interesting. He's the first one to walk in and shake your hand, look you in the eyes, thank you. The first one I got a call from yesterday. You know, it's always kind of the more calling on FaceTime. Well, when you snap hard, blah blah blah. And, you know, thank you. You know, but so it's always interesting that sometimes that more interesting out there character tends to be sometimes very sincere at the same time. So we appreciated that side of it. Also, the guys
I want
are
to
just
talk to him now. I like that.
Oh, you'd be fascinated by him. He's interesting.
I believe man is take you where money won't. So you telling me that tells me a lot about him and his character.
I think he's really interesting. I mean, he's got complications. He's got legal issues he's got to deal with. And, you know, but it's not our responsibility to decide if you're guilty or not.
Right,
if you get
absolutely.
300,000 votes,
That's
you
it.
know, out of 1.7 million and win by far, it's our responsibility to try and lock you down.
Who was your favorite on this freshman cover?
I have no idea. I mean, I like you based on your personality and how easy you work with
But
that day.
musically,
you know?
who do you think?
Musically, I mean, I like Playboy Cardi. I like Amine. I think he's talented. I think Ugly God's interesting. I
about
really
A
like
Boogie?
Cap G. A Boogie, I think, is talented. He did a really good job in his freestyle and his cipher. That's going to be definitely people will like that one a lot. it's just exciting to see what everybody does that day and how serious they take it and how good they try to be, and a mix of everything. I really like Cap G's music. We were excited about that. That was one of our later picks, but for us, we had some people who were questionable on the staff, but when he played the music and everything he had going on, everybody loved it. So I feel like that's when you want to see him get a little bit more personable, and that'll help him, but that the music's strong and the support is.
Do you find it difficult to work with these new artists? Because a lot of these new artists feel like they don't need none of the traditional outlets. They don't feel like they need radio. They don't feel like they need magazines. That's why Wyatt and Lucio say, I'm not playing no music for you. Whatever.
Yeah, but whatever, then it's your problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he didn't personally say that.
Well, he didn't
you.
say it to me.
Right.
He never said it to me. Now, you either have to deal with the fact that your team was wrong in your representation of you, or they were right and you didn't say it, but it's an extension of you. So it's one or the other.
Absolutely.
They either screwed him over or he screwed himself over in that regard, unless he doesn't look at it that way.
When these artists are shooting, do they know they're on the freshman cover when they do the shoot? Or
Yeah. No, they definitely know. They know what's going on. They get there. We do the cover itself at the end of the day to keep everybody there. And we keep them moving, from we have freestyle room, the cypher room, the photo room, this room, and they get moved from station to station until we maneuver everyone to the cover at the end.
What about Nave?
Came up, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely came up. Just wasn't in the top lineup for us.
And what about Slack?
Black?
Black?
I don't know these kids, man. My young
I was
boys
trying
is
to
telling
think
me.
Slack, yeah.
My young
I know.
boys is telling me
I
these
wasn't
people.
sure. I was
terrible
like, you were going to send messages?
It's like 6 and then LACK.
Yeah, just definitely came up, just didn't come into our top lineup.
Yeah. I'm just asking for my young boys. I don't care.
Yeah,
either way.
he asked people who they thought should make it, and that's how they responded.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their opinion. Everybody's an A&R these days.
And somebody
you
said
know?
Don Q.
Yeah.
So Don Q should have made it.
Don
Felt
Q.
a little early. We did A Boogie, Don Q maybe next year, but it didn't seem like it was right for both of them this year,
Right.
that it was one before the other.
Commercially, who was the biggest one on the cover this year? As far as like commercial success, you think?
Interesting. I mean, I think that, sometimes you have more big standouts with big songs that are on a huge level and some that kind of all on the level playing field. I think that everybody likes Playboy Cardi particularly after the Rolling Loud performance that everybody really responded to.
Probably made in Tokyo though, right?
Made in
Yeah,
Tokyo. as
made
far
in
as,
Tokyo,
as far
yeah.
as Success on
Commercially.
that.
Yeah.
Commercially, yeah.
I like P&B
Or-
Rock
or
though.
P&B Rock.
I like
that's-
P&B Rock
or
too,
A-Boogie,
yeah.
He's on that song every
And a
day.
lot of Atlantic artists, that's they're doing something over there. So the
Foolish
movement with
Me.
Atlantic is interesting, and they've got a strong lineup with their kind of new roster.
All right, well, thank you for joining us and clearing up some of this cover info.
I
Thank
know.
you.
Listen, people go crazy when they see who made the list. So I just love when you come up here and just clarify some things. Now, if you had to say amongst the staff at XXL, who was the biggest argument over as far as who made it that was maybe last minute? I know you said
We argued a lot over how to handle the Young MA situation. What was the best with that? We argued a lot over the Famous Dex situation. And what we should do with that. We argued
Oh
over,
yeah, Dex. That's another
Yeah.
one they wanted on.
And that's a lot of political issues right there that I'm not really sure so much how long it'll take to clear up before you get to the next level. And we
What
have
was
to
it?
keep all of
When
that
he
in
beat up the
mind.
girl? Or?
Yeah, I would say that was part
Gotcha.
of it. I mean, I think there's a hurdle to get over there, and I don't know if it's right now that it's going to happen.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of talk about that, and I think that was a part of the staff, and I think I'm trying to think over who.
So basically, Famous Dex didn't make it because of that video of him beating up the girl.
I guess if you want to
I'm
put
not
it
mad
that,
at
I mean, I guess if you want to put it that way, listen, you can argue either way. You can say X has got issues, and you can say that Famous Dex has issues.
Yeah.
I think the difference with Famous Dex having it on camera creates a
We
different
saw it.
situation. We saw it. I think the thing with X is also it's the people's champ, and he hasn't been found guilty of anything that you've seen. So it's really on. You kind of have to let that play out, and that's who the people wanted. No matter what, we've never really kind of been in the situation we've had to deal with political issues like this caught on camera. It's kind of the first time, and we definitely think Dex is a really good rapper. But for us, it's trying to predict the future of who's going to blow up, and I think that'll be a challenge for him. And I'm just talking candidly and honestly because I don't really know how else to deal with it.
yeah, we know.
I
From the
mean,
two-
it's an unfortunate situation.
Right.
He's a nice guy, and he's spoken on it definitely. But it's hard to say that's going to be the next thing you're going to be huge and blow up when you still kind of have that when people Google you.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. And I think it's just a screwed up situation across the board that I don't even want to talk about it, but it is what it is,
2016's freshman class. Who for this, since you put out that issue, who do you think was the most successful off of that?
I mean, please don't tell me you even stop listening to Kodak Black
Right.
or Lil Uzi or
love Kodak
21
Black.
Savage. I mean, it's been
Love
a
21.
very big theme of the year. And you can either say XXL influenced that or we lucked out, however you want to. But at the end of the day, I do feel a big chunk of what people were listening to regarding new artists were people who were on the 2016 freshman cover this year. Maybe not all of it, but a big portion of it.
Yep.
It's so weird that I'm so disconnected from this cover. Like at the 2016, I love Kodak Black and 21 Savage. But this one, I'm like, nah.
It's a harder year. It's a harder
Yeah.
year. It's less.
I wouldn't say a harder year. Maybe you're not listening the same because these artists are huge. Playboy Cardi is huge.
I know he is,
Maybe
but I'm
so-
not into it. Like I was actually
playing
in the
his
21
records
Savage music.
during the NBA Finals. They were playing his records. You know what I mean?
I don't feel it.
XXX is the same thing. My daughter and my son put me on to him months ago.
Yeah, the
Like-
kids love him.
like,
It's very weird.
Well, I'm not a
Very
kid.
interesting. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, sometimes you can't ignore what the kids have going on.
Oh,
It's in your
absolutely.
face
Boogie
over
the
and
same
over.
way. P&B Rock the same way.
I mean,
you know.
Selfish is huge, yeah.
And let's talk about the concert too, because got to make sure
Concert
you plug
June
that.
28th in New York, July 12th in LA, June 28th at PlayStation Theater. Have all of them coming out this year. I think it's the first time it's really all 10s. The show's going to be like 17 hours long. Not really.
All right,
But,
guys, everybody
yeah,
on the cover, stay out of trouble. We need
Yeah,
all of you
please
to show
stay
up.
out of trouble, please. We've been through it. But no, but we're excited about it. It's the 10th anniversary for us. 10 covers, 10 years,
Dope.
is a lot. And yeah, we just want to celebrate.
All right, Vanessa, thank you so much for always coming through
Thank you for supporting
and
me.
giving us these exclusives every year when the cover comes out.
There you have it. It's Miss Vanessa. It's the XXL magazine. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Every weekday morning. Tune in